I once heard a story about a landlord that went to war with his tenants. So a landlord had a property and the tenant, they pretty much kept up with the rent. But all of a sudden, they stopped paying rent. The landlord instantly was trying to get in contact with the tenants, phoning them, texting them, showing up to the front door. They wouldn't respond, they wouldn't open up the door to him, nothing. 4 months went past and the landlord managed to get in contact with one of the tenants and said, listen, you owe me 4 months rent. In the meantime, you ain't even come up with an excuse as to why you ain't paid this rent. So you still owe me 4 months rent and I want you out of this property. The tenant basically told the landlord to F off. So the landlord thought to himself, right, it's on now. This is war. So the landlord thought to himself, right, it's easy to go over there. You understand? But it's not worth it because the government is on the tenants' them side. So going over there, you're not gonna achieve nothing. So the landlord was a very intelligent individual. So he sat back and he thought to himself, right, how can I pressure these people to, they probably ain't gonna pay the rent, but at least get them out. How can man pressure these people? So you know what the landlord did? He thought to himself, right, what is a somewhat asset that everybody takes pride in and joy in and loves? Their car. So obviously the landlord knew where the people them lived. So the landlord paid their cars a visit and the landlord would bust out the tires, bust out the windows, scratch up the car, both the tenant and the tenant's partner's car. Every day they would wake up in the morning and find some new sort of damage to the car. It's very inconvenient if you wake up in the morning and you've got maybe kids to take to school, you've got work to go to, and now you've got 3 or 4 flat tires and a smashed windscreen. So, the landlord done that. And what the tenants did, they was able to get hold of, hire cars and that in the time that their cars were getting repaired. But the tenants thought they were smarter than the landlord. So what they did was they tried to hide the hire cars around the corner, and the landlord discovered them and ended up doing the same to the hire car as what he done to their cars. Eventually the tenants, again, still thought they were smarter than the landlord, and they decided to get new cars and park them around the corner and try and hide them from the landlord. The landlord discovered them and done the same. Eventually, they gave up and, they just vacated the property because the landlord was putting so much financial pressure on them and stress, more than likely stressing them out in their sleep. They can't sleep at night thinking, I wonder what's gonna happen to my car when I wake up there. You understand? Yeah. So that's what the landlord done to get them out of the property. And yeah, this is what happens if you don't want a war. Do not enter the battlefield. Sometimes it's best to just pay your rent, because you don't know who the fuck you're fucking with, blood. So that's how the landlord was able to get them out of the property. He put so much pressure on them that they just tapped out and they just went somewhere else. So that's a little story I heard one time. You know, there was a few comments underneath this video that I saw, and people were like, yeah, you know, I might use that tactic, you know. Yeah. So yeah, it's a little story I heard still. Anyway.